Which axle is? A 50% chance it's this one. You know. Yeah, we can just afterwards we can steal a cap with some silicone or everything like that.
Oh, look, there's the.
There's your oil coming up. Well, there's oil in there. Oh yeah, it's coming up. There you go. Well, it's not broken on this end.
Oh, I think it is.
Is it?
I felt it drop.
Oh, that's just dropping out of the diff.
Yeah.
It's probably a good sign.
Oh,
That one's good. Yeah, that one's good.
yeah.
There's a mark where it goes into the spider gear there, but yeah, that side's good. It's the short side. Yeah, you just kind of like push the cap down so it can jump up into the diff. There you go.
Oh, yeah, I threw it out today. I used it already.
Sounds good. Oh, it's not broken either.
So, my problem is bigger.
Yeah, it could be a spider gear. I don't know. Strip pinion flange. That's disappointing.
Yes. But I was prepared for this.
Well, it just means the pumpkin's got to come out.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Well, if the pumpkin has to come out, then I may as well leave the axles out.
Yeah.
I don't see any locking nuts on any of these. Or locking washers, rather.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I thought I'd get you caught up on what's going on here. So we pulled the whole pumpkin right out of the back of the axle. And so this is the disassembled differential. This is the crown gear. Sorry. This is the crown gear that mates up with the pinion. And originally I thought, well, we broke an axle. And then the axles are fine. Well, maybe we broke the pinion gear. Pinion's fine. So is the crown gear. What had actually happened is the crown gear attaches to the axle via this hub. And the two, you can see the bolt pattern there, two are bolted together. And all of those bolts sheared, every one of them. So now we're in the process of just taking those broken bolts out. So here they are. And interestingly enough, I thought they might be Loctited in place and you'd have to drill them out and use a tapping set to get them out, or extraction set rather. But look, they're really hard to grab onto, but they turn very easily. you just can't get at them, so I'm backing them out as far as I can, just reaching down with these little needle nose vice grips. And when it emerges from the other side, similarly, grabbing them and backing them out. They're actually finger loose, which is just a real blessing, because if it'd take a long time to drill these out and to extract them. So there it is. That's the sheared bolt. And luckily these are not expensive. They're readily available, and so they're on order. And I saw that the axles themselves were not broken. I thought we'd blown the diff, and in a sense we have, but just this one component. And I'm not sure exactly why it happened. Turns out we did have a hole in the differential case and lost a lot of fluid. There's hardly anything left in there. But I suspect that at one point some work was done for this differential, and instead of using Loctite, they use lock tabs, and the soft metal of the tabs just deformed, compressed, and all of the bolts loosened over time, and then the play just finally was enough that there's a bit of movement, and that allowed the friction between the crown gear and that hub was zero. And then the next thing that happened was the only thing holding those, the only forces, there's no friction, just shear on the bolts, and that was too much. And so the bolts, because of the movement, slight amount of movement, was enough to break them all. Really amazing thing here is that all of these bolts sheared, and they dropped to the bottom without rattling around the differential. The brake happened at a lighted intersection, and I just changed into first gear and let out the clutch and snap. I heard the snap and the bang, didn't know what it was, and I guess if we were going highway speeds there might have been some more momentum and maybe those bolts would have flown around, but they couldn't have broke at a better time. There is zero damage to the inside that I can see. The bolts are a couple of dollars a piece. Didn't lose all my fluid, and well, just really lucky here. Really blessed that this whole thing could have been very expensive, but you know, the good thing about it all is that I did discover that hole in the diff, and if I'd taken the vehicle on a longer trip, certainly could have had severe catastrophic damage to more components. So we're going to weld that up, and she'll be really in good shape by the time we're done, and hopefully ready to take some longer trips. Say you seat the crown gear and then you take it all
Then you take it all apart, yeah. Together, and then you take it apart, and then you put it together, and then you take it apart.
No, but the thread.
Oh yeah,
the thread.
yeah, they go from the carrier in. Yeah, the threads are in there.
No, that's clean. You can see what kind of washers it's supposed to have. Eh? Yes.
Yep. There you go.
with the manual.
Yeah.
Crown bolts say 55 foot-pounds.
Yeah.
What is the cap bolts here?
28.
Tighten the bearing cap
To
bolts.
adjust to obtain 0 end float. Like it just, the idea is like when it's done floating.
So let's not forget any bolts.
Or 0.8 millimeters. Or
Yeah.
2 inches.
Walk the crown gear into the pinion.
There we go. 52, 2, 52, 3, 4. Got a telescopic magnet here. We're just going to put it into this and sweep the inside, and I swept it from the differential side and found some metal bits, and we're just going to make sure that there's nothing else lurking in there to wear the axle. Let's see if we got any metal bits here. Yeah, there were some big chunks on the inside, but that's pretty clean. Well, we'll go try the other side. Let's see here. A couple of tiny specks. But got the big pieces from the other side that were close to the differential. Bits that were in the bottom of the differential housing, and even in the axle housing. If you're wondering how much metal was still in there, you don't want that going through your gears. Again, when this had been worked on, there was missing parts. In fact, the axle seal was missing. So, but we have new ones which we ordered, and we're going to put them on. Be careful. Feed this in. Snow and everything. Blaine, you got a nice garage. How come you're not doing the work in the garage? There's one axle in, one to go. We're going to put in the second axle. There's the end. You can see it cleaned it off there. Gonna give the oil on the end here just a last wipe. This gear oil just seems to keep coming forever. Now when you put these axles in, you have to find this spline, and then you'll find that they don't quite go in. There's about a 1/4 inch to go. And I found that it takes the pressure of tightening the bolts on to get it to seat back into the differential. Differential's filled, everything's back together except the propeller shaft. This is kind of a picky operation. It's kind of a picky operation. You can't really do it with the socket. You're gonna have to use a couple of 9/16 wrenches. And I'm going to need both my hands to get that in.